What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going through my top 20 Week 2 tight end rankings. I've already posted the quarterbacks today. Defenses will be out later today also, but this video is all about the tight end position, and let's just dive right into it. Starting off in Week 1, I have my top 2 tight ends heading into the season. They're the top 2 in Tier 1. It is Brock Bowers, and it is Trey McBride. Now, I will say Brock Bowers' usage was not great. It wasn't, what you'd expect out of an elite high-end fantasy tight end one, and just a player of his caliber. This is kind of something we saw in the preseason, but I didn't read a ton into it just because I couldn't fathom taking a player like this off the field more than was absolutely necessary. But before he left the game with injury, he only had a 71% snap share. That is not great, especially for someone who you're drafting in round 2 to have like that, super crazy high elite tight end one upside. The reason why I'm not overly concerned about this is he just proved that he is too good to have that type of usage. Still caught 5 passes for 103 yards, despite also leaving early in the fourth quarter. And so maybe he has that same usage in the next couple of weeks, but it's going to get to a point where this dude is just going to have to be on the field on pretty much every single snap. It doesn't seem like his injury's serious, potentially could have come back in if they really needed him. I'm still going to rock with Brock Bowers tight end 1. Obviously not the greatest thing that you're having weird usage stuff early on in the season in Week 1, but I think that'll correct. He's just too talented to not have him out there as much as you possibly can. And then for Trey McBride, fine Week 1, 8 targets, 6 for 61. We know he's going to command volume. No concerns with what we saw to Trey McBride in the first week. Then moving into Tier 2, honestly, after these next 2 guys, there was kind of a clumped tier of tight ends and these mid to back end guys. You had some veterans, some younger options. Overall, I feel like that tier kind of fell flat, but these 2 certainly did not. Sam Laporta and Tyler Warren. Laporta, really strong game, 8 targets, 6 receptions for 79 yards, and he did that in a game where this Lions passing attack really kind of flopped. And then for Tyler Warren, huge winner from Week 1. This is a rookie tight end coming in, having a really strong usage right away. 73% route participation. That could be a little bit better, but it's Week 1, and based on his production, I think that will improve moving forward. He was targeted 9 times, caught 7 of them for 76 receiving yards, and they also got him involved on the ground, had a carry for 3 yards. It's just this fun usage, the fact that he was such a focal point of the offense in Week 1, that is really intriguing moving forward, and he could be on pace to have one of these big-time rookie tight end seasons like we saw the guy in the same tier, Sam Laporta. Now moving into Tier 3, this was the tier where we kind of had some, sketchy results. Travis Kelce, Tucker Kraft, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, and Kyle Pitts. Travis Kelce, the vibes were not great after Week 1. Obviously, he took a big step down last year. People thought he potentially could bounce back this season. I wasn't super optimistic. That should have been an opportunity in Week 1 with Xavier Worthy leaving early on, Rashee Rice obviously suspended, to have a big game, command a lot of volume. He only commanded 3 targets on 35 pass attempts. That's not great, but you still have to imagine he's going to be a top 2 target on this offense. With the injuries at wide receiver, I still think he's fine as a mid-tier tight end 1. And it also just comes down to no one else in this tier has really separated themselves. And it does feel like there's kind of a fall off after the top 3-4 tight ends, especially with George Kittle now on IR. Then we have Tucker Kraft, who had really solid usage for the Packers, actually led all wide receivers and tight ends in snaps and routes. I do think the Packers can put up points in this matchup, 4th in implied points. Kraft is someone who's going to have a lot of touchdown upside week to week. I think they could run into some issues, at least the passing weapons, the passing attack, where this team is just really strong. And if their defense is really good, I don't know if they're going to be getting into a lot of these shootouts where there's a ton of passing volume. So I think for season long, that could negatively affect Tucker Kraft. But this game should be competitive. I like Kraft as my tight end 6. Then I have Mark Andrews, who was very, very disappointing in Week 1. Fine usage, 73% route participation, was only targeted 1 time. This was pretty much like the Zay Flowers show in terms of the Ravens pass catchers, but the Ravens have the highest implied point total this week. Mark Andrews is always going to have touchdown upside. I would not be shocked if he had a nice bounce back here in Week 2. Then we're going with TJ Hawkinson. Really solid usage, 84% route participation. The Vikings have the 7th highest implied point total this week. Nothing crazy in Week 1. It was kind of a slow start from JJ McCarthy. Really turned it around in the last quarter and a half. I do think we should see TJ Hawkinson have some better games moving forward. And then the last guy in this tier is going to be Kyle Pitts. I don't want to jinx it, but this might officially be like, the resurgence of Kyle Pitts here. This might actually be the year where he's super productive for fantasy. The usage was really solid, 83% raw participation, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 59 yards. I'm, kind of crossing my fingers here. I want it to pan out for Kyle Pitts. Week 1 was a great sign. Hopefully he can build on it in this matchup against the Vikings. Then moving into tier 4, a lot of guys in this tier. We're kind of, mixing between guys with strong usage on bad offenses and then, somewhat sketchier usage, but on good offenses, more touchdown upside. We're going to start off with Dallas Goedert and Jake Ferguson. I think these guys are kind of similar bets where they're the clear-cut tight end ones on pretty solid offenses, but they're also probably at best the number 3 target. Goddard behind A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, and then Jake Ferguson behind C.D. Lamb and George Pickens, but they're going to have touchdown upside, fine back-end fringe tight end ones. Then I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson. Big riser after week 1, and it all just comes down to the role he played. He was in on 74 out of 75 snaps, and he ran a route on 47 of the 49 dropbacks. He was targeted 11 times, caught 8 of them for 76 yards. If this usage sticks, Juwan Johnson is going to be playable, especially if the Saints are in a lot of these trailing game scripts where they are kind of, racking up the passing volume. Juwan Johnson is interesting now for fantasy. Then I'm going to go with Hunter Henry, someone who I liked as a later round veteran tight end target. Strong usage, 74% raw participation. He was tied for the team lead with 8 targets, 4 receptions, 66 yards. This is kind of, still somewhat of a sketchy wide receiver room. Not quite sure who the true breakouts are going to be. I think Henry is just a reliable veteran target for a young quarterback in Drake May. Then I have Dalton Kincaid. His usage was not great, only a 60% raw participation, commanded 4 targets, but he turned that into 4 for 48 and a touchdown. He's just going to have a ton of weekly touchdown upside on this Bills offense. They have the 3rd highest implied point total. I think is a high-end tight end one. That's really all you can ask for. Then back-to-back, I have these Browns tight ends, David Njoku and Harold Fannin. And Njoku was someone who I did like kind of earlier on in the offseason. Then once we were getting closer to the season and we were seeing Harold Fannin's probably going to have a legit role in this offense, I started to cool off of David Njoku. And after week 1, that does kind of seem like the right call. Njoku's usage was solid, 85% raw participation, but it did not lead to great fantasy numbers where he was actually the 5th target on the Browns in this game. And I think a big part of that is Harold Fannin coming in and balling out right away. Now, his usage wasn't as great, 65% raw participation, but he was targeted 9 times, caught 7 of them for 63 yards, also got a carry for 3 yards. So Fannin is going to be a factor in this offense. I do think that really hurts both the floor and ceiling of David Njoku. And then just in this matchup, the Browns are probably not going to put up a ton of points. You've got these guys kind of cannibalizing each other. I am really excited about Harold Fannin moving forward. I don't want that to get lost on everyone. I loved Fannin coming into the season, drafted him on a lot of my dynasty teams. I'm very excited about him. Just for this one specific week, I'd like to see another strong game. And then Njoku, you're just looking at him compared to some of these other guys where it's Kincaid just on a much better offense. Johnson's usage is just better. Goddard, Ferguson, better offenses. I think he's kind of in a tough spot. Maybe I'm overreacting to one down game where he wasn't super involved, but we'll see, how I'm feeling about him after week 2. And then moving into the 5th and final tier, we're going to start off with Zach Ertz. Strong usage, 81% raw participation, 3 for 26 and a touchdown. Should be a pass-heavy game script here for the Commanders. I think he's interesting. It's a mid-tier tight end too. Then I have Brenton Strange going up against the Bengals. Decent usage, 70% raw participation, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 59 yards. I do think he's a younger player who could continue to expand on his role. Then someone who potentially is a miss for me heading into the season. I really liked Evan Ingram when we're looking at those mid-round tight end targets. And although he did leave early with a calf injury, which, on its own is not great, his usage was pretty terrible before leaving with that injury. He had a sub 50% snap share, a sub 50% raw participation, and that type of usage is just not playable. So as of right now, tough to get super excited about Evan Ingram. You're hoping that role kind of changes throughout the season. And then for Jonnu Smith, His usage wasn't great either, 53% route participation. He was targeted 6 times, 5 receptions for 15 yards and a touchdown. I think the saving grace here for Jonnu Smith is that I do think Arthur Smith really likes him. They could use him creatively, kind of like what we saw with the touchdown. I think they're going to, try to manufacture him touches, but tight end 20, he is going to be the last guy in these rankings. So that is going to wrap it up. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe, questions, comments, feel free to drop them down below. But thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.